Welcome to Mind Body Monday, and thank you for joining me. This is the first Mind Body Monday of 2023 and session number 50, which is really a double celebration. Today's topic is common gut health mistakes and what you can do to avoid them. We're going to be looking at 7 common gut health mistakes that you should leave behind in 2022 if you haven't already. And I'm going to share with you doing one simple thing that you can do that can make all the difference to your gut health and your health in general. So even if you've just tiptoed into the health space, you've probably heard about the importance of gut health. And this is pretty much what the last 49 Mind Body Mondays have been about. So you can check out my YouTube channel or the private Facebook group or the various social media channels where I'm sharing these free Mind Body Monday sessions. And if you haven't joined my 1440 Thrive WhatsApp group, just let me know in the chat and I'll send you a link to do that. So most people's approach, at least the way I see in my practice and when people stop me and ask me questions in the street, is they tend to overcomplicate things. And I call it overcomplicate.com. And really the pathway forward is to oversimplify.com and really to pull all the way back and keep things super simple. And you're going to understand why very shortly. Just before I begin, I'm just curious for those of you who are new and for those of you who are returning to Mind Body Monday, go ahead and just type in the chat what gut issues you would like to let go of in 2023, or what if I could wave my magic wand, let's say, and I do have a magic wand in my clinic, by the way, and maybe I'll share about my magic wand later, but I really do have one. I don't know how magical it is, but it is a magical wand. But if I could wave my magical wand and all your gut issues would go away, what would be here for you instead? Or what issues would be healed? Go ahead, just type in the chat. What gut issues are you leaving behind in 2020? Or what sort of gut health would you like in the new year, 2023? And that gives me a sense of who's here and how I could support you specifically in today's Mind Body Monday. And if there's enough interest in a particular topic, then that will be the topic for the future Mind Body Monday. So you can type that in the chat. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Avraham Gundle. I'm the founder and director for the Center for Integrated Medicine. And I've been practicing functional and integrated medicine for the last 30 years in private practice. I've been privileged to help many people recover from a whole host of health conditions, be it digestive issues, autoimmune conditions, diabetes, anxiety, skin conditions, thyroid issues, to name a few. And Mind Body Mondays is my way of sharing with the community ideas, strategies from my practice that can help you leverage your health and get to next level health and wellness and cure yourself or move in the direction of health and healing even a little bit. So I want you to bear with me in this introduction. So someone's written in, thank you very much, in the chat. I would like to lower cholesterol and HbA1c, and not sure if that's gut related, she writes, but absolutely it is for lots of reasons. And someone else has written in, lower sugar intake and hydrate properly. Thank you so much for that. And you're going to see one of the big mistakes will cover both of these topics. So as an introduction to today's session, there are common gut issues or common gut mistakes that you can avoid. I want you to just focus. We're going to take a little bit of a crash course in a few minutes in a very, very exciting and important topic. But what people don't realize is having a healthy gut is more than just not having symptoms. If it's abdominal pain, if it's bloating, if it's constipation, if it's diarrhea, if it's heartburn, whatever it is, having a robust gut health is more than just being symptom-free. Because having a healthy gut impacts every aspect of your life. It affects every cell of your body. It affects your vitality. it affects your immune system, it affects your mood, and so much else about you. In fact, more than 95% of dopamine and 50% of serotonin, these are two very important neurotransmitters responsible for our upbeat, happy approach to life on planet Earth, and regulates appetite and sleep and so much more about our health and wellness. Those amounts are made in the gut. Over 95% of dopamine is not made in the brain. It's made in the gut. And over 50% of serotonin is made in the gut. So having a healthy gut really, really impacts having a healthy mood as well. And one of the reasons having a healthy gut impacts all of our systems is because when you have a healthy digestive system and a balanced and diverse microbiome, then you're able to digest the foods you're eating very efficiently. You'll be able to absorb the nutrients from your gut into your bloodstream, and from there nourish your cells, and from there turn on the mitochondria, the energy producing parts of your cells, and affect what's called the epigenetics. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. So it's really the hub of health and vitality from many, many different perspectives. Many of my patients feel stuck in their health conditions, specifically if they have a health issue where there's a family history of that condition or a similar condition. And I get quite happy or excited, not that they're stuck, but I share with them some incredible research that has been done on the human genome. And this is the part I want you to just focus. We're going to do this mini crash course, if you want, in a topic called epigenetics. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. But when you understand this, you'll really get leverage over yourself with respect to being empowered to make better decisions in your lifestyle, the food choices you make, the exercise you do or don't do, the sleep patterns you keep, etc., etc. And let's talk a little bit about this field of epigenetics. Bottom line, and I'll give you the bottom line right out of the gate, is that 20% of our health is determined by genetics, by our DNA. 20% of our health is determined by our genetics. 80% is determined by our lifestyle choices. Now, when I first learned this research, I was struck at the power that we really do have. We have so much more ability to influence our health and well-being and not just be resigned to, well, this is the deck of cards that I was given, which means how we eat, how we sleep, how we socialize, how we think, how we behave, everything about our lifestyle choices affects our longevity, our health span, and I'll get to that in just a minute. So this is the introduction to the field of epigenetics. Now, let's just break that word down. Epi is Greek for above the genome. Now, if this is new, don't let it sound like Greek to you, but bear with me because you'll see why it will be so important for you to get. So the epigenome consists of chemicals that modify or mark the genome in a way that it tells the genes what to do, where to do it, and when to do it. So different cells have different epigenetic marks. Stay with me. Epigenetics is the cellular software that controls your DNA. It tells each cell or the genes what to turn on and what to turn off. So even though, for example, a person may have, and we all do make what's called oncogenes, there are oncogenes, these are cancer-causing genes, but these can be turned on and off, depending on lifestyle choices by and large. So this is how cells with different DNA can have cells with identical DNA can have very different functions. One cell becomes muscle, one cell becomes bone, one cell becomes a neuron, but they have identical DNA. And this is because of the genome and epigenetics. So while your genome, which is the entire set of DNA instructions found in a cell, is a set of instructions like keys on a piano, your epigenome is like the piano player that plays and selects which notes to play in at which time and which sequence. So epigenetics is our ability to influence our genes by the lifestyle choices that we make. Bottom line, once again, is that 20 to possibly 30% of our health is determined by our DNA. 70 to 80% is determined by the lifestyle choices that we make. This means that our DNA does not equal our destiny. Our epigenome controls gene expression, which is one of the main biological mechanisms that control our health span and our lifespan, and how our body and mind feel and function every single day. Our health span is the period of life spent in great health, free from any chronic diseases and disabilities of aging. Our lifespan is a person's life expectancy. This is where having a healthy gut comes in. Thank you for hanging in with me in your crash course in epigenetics. And this is where all of this comes down to having a healthy gut. Because by having a healthy gut, a healthy digestive system, and a robust and diverse microbiome, you're able to digest the foods you eat well. You're able to absorb them into your bloodstream, which will go into every cell in your body and give fuel to the epigenome, which will instruct the piano player, so to speak, what music to make, when, and how. And that will give a person their vitality, their health, and the beat in their step, so to speak. So all of this really does begin in the gut. So this is a good time after that quite heady stuff, and I really try to simplify it as much as possible. But if you get that piece, that our DNA does not equal our destiny, then you've got it. And it means by making small baby steps, micro steps every day in the direction of health and wellness, you'll have leverage over yourself and impact your lifespan and your health span for years to come. So now that you've seen all of this intro to epigenetics, you'll now understand the context of the top 7 mistakes that you may want to avoid. Because it's not only about avoiding discomfort of digestive issues, whatever they may be. It's really but equally about, or perhaps more importantly, about your mood, your vitality, and your lifespan and longevity and vitality over time. So let's begin and look at the first 7 common mistakes that you want to leave behind in 2022 and bring into your life in 2023. And remember, these are just the top 7 I culled from a list of mine, which is really a top 50, but I've just simplified my 7 favorite for today. And it's not all or nothing. It's so important to get this. It's not about, well, I can't do all 7, so I'm not going to do none. It does not work that way. Every baby step you make, every micro step you make towards health and wellness makes a significant difference. It could be one stretch. It could be just putting on your walking shoes and just walking, walking 100 meters and back. And tomorrow you may do 101 meters, but every little bit counts. And over time, you'll inculturate a way of thinking that with time, you'll be able to do more and more in your own way, in your own pace, and that way extend your health and vitality and heal whatever it is you're challenged with. So the first mistake I'm going to share is not drinking enough water. And in a previous Mind Body Monday session, I spoke about, and it's a bit gory perhaps, but our gut is really a sewage system. Just imagine if New York City water shut off for a week. You can imagine what absolute debacle that would be with the sewage system, backing up and stopping. And there's so many consequences of that. So our gut is basically an internal sewage system. So hydration, we're not focusing here on cellular hydration, which is a separate topic, but just giving your gut the water it needs to be able to help motility, help peristalsis, and things move through. As a general rule, I tell my patients 0.5 ounce to 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight. So that means if you are, let's say 150 pounds, that would be 75 to 150 ounces of water a day. If you're 68 kilograms, that means about 2.2 or 2.5 liters of water a day, approximately 9 cups. So I personally have a liter bottle that I have, one in my place of work, one in my home study, and wherever I am, I've got my bottle, and I make sure that I get through at least 1.5 by lunchtime, 1-2 o'clock, and then the other one by 6 o'clock. So that way I'm covered. And some of my patients, I just say, if you're a coffee drinker, it's fine. Just keep a big 12-ounce cup. I'm holding up my hand like this because I have a beer mug, and that's what I drink first thing in the morning, of water. So you can just have a big cup ready at your coffee machine. You can drink your water and then go ahead and have your coffee, because the coffee does dehydrate the cells on a certain level. So you can just get that water in right out of the gate. So just another thing about water timing, always tell my patients, drink up to half an hour before your food, and perhaps 40 minutes after your food, and maybe up to half a cup, maximum 3/4 of a cup during your meal to help you chew and salivate. But eating is eating time, and drinking should be drinking time. Otherwise, you're going to end up diluting your gastric juices. And stomach acid is basically a tablespoon of acid per protein meal secretion. So it's a good thing just to drink before, so you don't dilute all those important enzymes. Let's look at the mistake number 2, and this relates to another someone posted in the chat. I'm looking over to the side. I've got 2 screens here. So someone posted about bringing down their sugar level and normalizing their HbA1c. So the second mistake a lot of people make is consuming too many sugar-free products. Now, what most people don't know is even the natural sugars, the various alcohol-derived sugars, have been shown to affect the tight junctions. These are the spaces between in the gut where it allows undigested food particles, microbes, or bacteria to pass from the gut into the bloodstream, and from there mount an inflammatory or immune response. So these artificial sugars and sweeteners affect the gut wall and weaken these tight junctions and allow the passage of nasties into the bloodstream. So it's a good thing to cut back, reduce, stop these sugars. In fact, one of my patients, I said, it takes about 21 days for your taste buds to get used to less amounts of sugar. So over time, they reduced their sugar. And within 3 weeks, they were remarking to me how tasty fruits and vegetables really are. and they were really enjoying the fresh, crisp, delicious, sweet tastes of fruits and vegetables without as a result of their tongue being re-educated to natural, delicious foods. Let's look at the next mistake that people can make, and that is eating too fast. It's really important to slow down, to smell your food, to chew your food, because what our teeth cannot do, our digestive enzymes certainly are not able to do. What this means is our teeth serve as a mechanical breakdown of food. And once that mechanical breakdown happens, the salivary enzymes will break the bonds of certain foods, and then the rest of the enzymes in the gut can do their job. But if the first stage is not done with the salivary amylase and ptyalin and various enzymes in the mouth, if they are not doing their job, then the production line further down will not be able to do their job either. So the whole of the digestive system, like a conveyor belt, will just topple over and get out of sync. So slowing down, chewing your food is a very, very easy way to fix and repair and restore the gut. Let's look at mistake number 4. And there is a lot of added caffeine to various beverages. Now, I enjoy a good coffee in the morning, and I share with my patients that, and I discussed this on a previous Mind Body Monday about people who have a specific caffeine gene and are more affected by caffeine and more sensitive to caffeine than others. But essentially, caffeine has a half-life of anywhere between 6 to 8, perhaps even 12 hours. That means if you have a cup of coffee or a caffeinated drink by 12 o'clock, you've got on the day, you've got half of that amount of caffeine, maybe anywhere between 8 to 12 hours later. So that, and I'll get to that shortly, will affect the quality of your sleep. But it'll also, people who are sensitive, it can affect the acidity in the gut and affect their microbiome. So if you are a coffee drinker, look for those less acidic caffeine coffees, but more importantly, compensate by hydrating well beforehand. So let's get to point number 5, which is not getting enough sleep. I would say this is probably one of the most important factors in healing your gut. If there's nothing else you're going to do, I would really invite you to really put the spotlight on sleep. And I just want to read something to you, because I was doing some research on another talk I'm giving on how sleep affects gut. And there's a phenomenal book by Dr. Walker. And his book is called Why Sleep: Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams. And he's a professor of neuroscience and psychology at UC Berkeley, and the founder and director of the Center for Human Sleep Sciences. So he's well up there in terms of educated on the topic. And he has done some fascinating research. Let me just share this with you. He did some research where he called this a global experiment on 1.6 billion people in about 70 countries. And that's his description of daylight savings time. Listen to this. He said that researchers discovered a 24% increase in heart attacks the following day after daylight, the clocks were moved and people lost that 1 hour of sleep. And he also noted a similar surge in traffic accidents just from a reduction in 1 hour of sleep. 24% increase in heart attacks. I think that's absolutely remarkable. It's quite shocking, actually. So I like to see the gut as a finely tuned orchestra. And it's really all about timing. You've got the orchestra master standing up there with his stick, and he's, the conductor, that's right. And he's conducting the orchestra, and everybody must be in perfect timing. The right instrument and the right sound and the right time is everything. And you get that beautiful music once again coming back, our reference to the epigenome. And sleep is one of those things that just is a non-negotiable. So I invite all of you, based on his research, to look to getting deep restorative sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours on a consistent basis. There's much, much more talk I have and share and info to share on sleep, but I'm going to say that perhaps for another Mind Body Monday. We'll talk about sleep in the gut if there's enough interest. The key here is, if you have any gut issues, get the sleep you need. One of the many reasons, is because the vagus nerve, which is one of our 12 cranial nerves, runs from our brain and supplies pretty much most of our gut with its nervous food. So when the parasympathetic nervous system is rested and restored through deep restorative sleep, and the whole gut can begin to relax and do its functioning in a perfect timed way. Great. So that is the mistake number 5. Let's look at mistake number 6. And before we do that, let's all sit up in your chairs, take another nice deep Mind Body Monday breath in. And as you breathe out, relax your shoulders, relax your gut. And this will allow us to oxygenate our brain and continue with Mind Body Monday's mistake number 6. And that is trying to heal your gut in a vacuum. What I mean by that is, many people will just focus on the food they're eating, the allergies, the intolerances, perhaps taking some supplements, but forget there's a much, much, much bigger context in which the gut is affected or behaving. And that is our stress levels, our emotional makeup, our emotional volatility, sleep, I mentioned, our social support, our spiritual connection. There's so much that plays into the gut. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it, because it represents the hub of our internal world by and large, and affects so much of our external world. So when you're looking to heal your gut, the mistake a lot of people make is just looking at the gut as an independent entity that doesn't talk to anybody or anything else. It's almost like the field of specialty today in medicine, where you can have a retina doctor in the east wing of a hospital and the cornea doctor in the left wing of the hospital, and they seldom actually get together to talk about the patient and the patient's eye. Rather, it's very highly specialized. That has its pluses, but it also has a bunch of minuses. So the last mistake people tend to make that I see in my practice is eating too close to bed. I share with my patients the rule 4, 3, 2, and 1. What that means is, ideally, if you can, stop all food 4 hours before bed. You certainly can drink herbal teas and things like that. If you can't manage 4 for whatever the reason, then go for 3. If you can't manage 3, then go for 2. And if you can't manage 2, then go for 1. And if you can't manage 1, then do the best you can. But at least that's the ideal. Tonight, I did have a late lunch around 3, but I decided to have a small fruit, banana, and some vegetable snack around 7. And that way I'll be able to have at least 3 to 4 hours before I go to bed. And that will allow the digestive system to be fully done its work before I go to sleep. So my mind and body are not in competition, because when you go to sleep, your brain wants to switch off and do its cleansing, healing work, and your body wants to switch off. But if you've got food in your stomach, well, there's a little bit of a competition there. So your gut wants to finish its job, your brain wants to switch everything off, and basically you get improper digestion, and that whole conveyor belt system goes off track. That's a big mistake I see people making. So I encourage anybody with a digestive challenge to at least aim, if you can, for 4 hours before bed, and anything less, 3, 2, 1, do your best you can. And then the other piece that relates to that is at least try and have a 12-hour window of non-eating from dinner until your first meal in the day, which is called breakfast, break fast. And when you have these 12 hours, you just give a major invitation to your gut for a big reset. Okay, well done. We've got through our 7, but I couldn't hold back. I just want to give you an 8th because, 8 is a very special number. There is another key element here, and I would be remiss if I didn't share it with you, and that is the importance of breathing, taking deep abdominal breaths. And there's a specific breathing technique I teach called the harmony breath, and that helps to reset the diaphragm, stimulate your vagus nerve, and get peristalsis and the gut working in perfect harmony. So deep breathing exercises is another key aspect to take into 2023. And a mistake people make is slow, shallow breathing with perhaps a tight belt or tight garment around their waist, which restricts their gut and restricts their breathing. So that's something to bear in mind. Fantastic. So let's all take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, you're able to relax your gut, oxygenate your brain, get that internal master piano player configuring the right keys in your genetic structure to play those right keys at the right time to get your epigenome functioning in the best possible way. And another deep breath in and breathing out. Fantastic. Mind Body Monday is all about going back to basics and give you the tools and the leverage you need to be at your best. So I said to you that the second thing we're going to be sharing today is one simple thing you can do to make all the difference in your health. And with this, we're going to end, and I'm going to take some questions. So the key point here is that all change can only happen with consciousness when we are aware that there's a problem. If you're not aware that there's a problem, it's hard to fix something. We want to move from what I call unconscious incompetence all the way to unconscious competence. And that's a 4-stage process. So it's unconscious incompetence where we don't know that we don't know and we're just bumbling our way through. And there's conscious incompetence where you know you're not very good at something, and that's part of the learning curve. And there's conscious competence where you're consciously focusing on making changes, and it does take effort. And then we want to move all the way across to unconscious competence, where you can drive with your hand out the window, listening to music, speaking with someone safely on your mobile phone, where in the beginning, when you're first learning to drive, there was too many things to focus on at the same time. So you can only change where there is awareness, where there's consciousness. So the best pathway to bring consciousness into your nutritional program, into your eating, is to do or keep a food journal. And it does not have to be complicated at all. Just grab a piece of paper, stick it on your fridge with a magnet, write down everything you eat and drink. I have my patients do it for 7 days because it gives me a bigger window to explore with them. But you can do 24 hours, 48 hours, you can do 3 days. And you want to be tracking things like, what do you eat? Your timing, when do you eat it? And how do you feel your mood-wise, emotionally? How do you feel energy-wise? Do you feel sluggish? Do you feel bloated? And obviously you want to track your bowel motions just to get a sense of beginning to correlate what the impact of your food choices are with those habits. So this is a very simple one-pager, just scrap a piece of paper, write down this food journal. And if you could just do this one thing for yourself, it would be a real gift, because when my patients do this for 7 days and I review it with them, I ask them, what patterns do they notice? What did you notice about your mood? What did you notice about your bowel habits? What did you notice about your energy levels? How did your stomach feel, your digestion feel? And then we take a deeper dive, and you can do this with yourself. How many foods on your list are processed? How many green leafy vegetables are there? How many simple carbohydrates are there? How much water are you having? Are you noticing any cravings, maybe for sweet, maybe for salty, maybe for sour? Cravings are also a sign of an imbalance. So, and also perhaps the order of the food you eat makes a massive difference, specifically if you've got a glucose regulation challenge. So keeping a food journal, low-tech solution, is a quick and easy way to take your health to the next level. Just before we end, a quick take-home summary. 20 to 30% of our health and well-being is determined by our genetics. 70 to 80% of our health is determined by our lifestyle choices. The quality of sleep we get, the exercise we do, the social network that we keep, the thoughts that we entertain, the food choices we make, etc., etc. So much more of our health and well-being has to do with our lifestyle choices, and both of these will then affect our quality of our life and the longevity of our life. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. And if you came late, I just want to quickly remind you of my new Heal Your Gut program. It's an online, super practical, fast track to heal your gut from the inside out. So if you're interested in this, to learn with me and get the healing tools you need to turn your gut around, just type in gut health, and I'll come back to you with some more information. So Mind Body Monday, thank you once again for joining me as we head into a new 2023. And just remember, Mind Body Monday is all about self-care being the heart of healthcare. All you need to do is take one small step in the direction of health and healing in mind, body, and soul. See you next week.